Jake said that he would do MMA, that he would fight in MMA. Do you believe?
Let's do it then. If you want to make a bet, let's make a bet. You want to fight MMA, come and fight me.
Tyron Woodley, he really is the chosen one.
Tyron Woodley promised to expose Jake Paul.
Yeah, look, I don't know what to say, but he's a tough opponent.
Congrats on a great performance. How do you feel about what you accomplished out there?
I feel like if that was the second biggest pay-per-view, the round two gonna be bigger than that. I feel like I won the fight.
He said he would shut down the circus, drag the YouTuber into real deep water, and remind everyone what a world champion looks like when the lights go up and the play acting stops. Yet on the night he was supposed to deliver that reality check, Woodley walked straight into a punch that didn't just end a fight. It rewrote a narrative, turned a proud veteran into a viral freeze frame, and made every promise he'd made play back like a cruel echo. You're in the knockout realm, where legends rise and moments become history. But before we step between the ropes and relive how this rivalry turned into a highlight that shook the internet, go ahead and touch gloves with us. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you never miss another breakdown from inside the fight game. Now, let's step into the ring. Tyron Woodley's beef with Jake Paul began long before they ever touched gloves. When Woodley watched his longtime teammate Ben Askren get iced in one round, he didn't just see a boxing match. He saw disrespect to the sport and to the people who bled for it. And he stepped forward as the man who would put things back in order. From that moment, Woodley cast himself as the enforcer, the former UFC champion, the knockout artist, the grown man stepping in to punish a loud internet kid who had wandered too far into a world he didn't belong to. He told the world Jake was fake, that his resume was padded.
But at the end of the day, we're talking about fighting. Who's done more of it? Who's been at the highest level for a long time? You know what I mean? Who's faster? Who's stronger?
And that once he got his hands on him, people would finally see the difference between carefully curated chaos and real violence. When they finally met in the first fight, the script was supposed to be simple. Experienced champion walks through the YouTuber and sends him crashing back to his lane. Instead, the night turned messy, tense, and awkward, with long stretches where nothing much landed and both men circled, feinting and fainting more than they actually fought. Then came the moment that Woodley clung to. He smashed Jake with a huge right hand that slung him into the ropes. And for a split second, the illusion cracked. The influencer looked hurt. The arena gasped. And it felt like the veteran was about to close the show the way real punchers do. But he never fully pulled the trigger. After the fight, as the split decision went Jake's way, Woodley argued that he'd already exposed him, that he'd shown the world who really had the power, and that all he needed was one more chance to finish what he started. The rematch didn't come for free. To keep a public bet and keep the storyline alive, Woodley went and got "I Love Jake Paul" tattooed on himself.
If I beat you, you have to get "I Love Jake Paul" tattooed on you. But if you beat me, I get "I Love Tyron Woodley" tattooed on me, and you have to post it on your Instagram feed. Deal or no deal?
I think I should do it.
Bro, this guy has no confidence.
Bet.
Deal or no deal?
Deal.
Can we shake on it?
Flipping it into a middle finger joke, but still having to live with another man's name inked on his skin just to stay in the picture. When Tommy Fury pulled out injured, Woodley got exactly what he'd been begging for. A second fight, short notice, but with the promise of a clean ending. He told anyone who would listen that this was destiny, that everything that had gone wrong before was being corrected now, and that this time there would be no judges, no debates, just a body and a statement. In the build-up to the rematch, Woodley's language got sharper and more absolute. He stopped talking about game plans and started talking about punishment, insisting that he was going to knock Jake out, that this would be the real fight, and that the decision controversy from the first bout would be buried under a clean finish. For Woodley, this wasn't just about a payday. He was trying to protect an entire identity. Former champion, knockout artist, serious fighter, from being swallowed by a social media character he didn't respect. And he framed this second fight as the night he would restore that order in front of the world. Once the rematch began, it didn't feel like a highlight reel in the making. It felt like a grind. There were clinches, head clashes, and awkward exchanges where both men seemed more focused on not getting caught than on taking the risks needed to end it early.
Barry.
Stop. Match beyond.
Legs. Oh.
Right hand. I think
Woodley had moments of success, digging to the body, crowding Jake, and even opening a cut with a clash that left blood running down Paul's face. But those flashes never turned into a sustained assault, and the fight seemed to be slipping toward a decision again. The very thing Woodley swore would not happen this time. Then, in round 6, the entire story condensed itself into 1 second. They had just broken from a clinch. Both men reset, and in that tiny pause, Jake dipped, loaded his right hand, and threw an overhand that came over Woodley's lowered guard like a hammer dropped from the ceiling.
Say what you will about the problem, child.
Woodley didn't wobble or stumble. He shut off. He fell face first, arms frozen, body limp. The sound of his impact echoing as the crowd erupted in the kind of shocked roar reserved for knockouts that instantly become reference points in a sport's history. All the talk about exposing Jake evaporated in that moment. What remained was an image. A former UFC champion unconscious at the feet of a man he was supposed to humble. With the referee waving it off and Jake sprinting to the corner, screaming into a camera that this was real and that no one could deny him now. In the hours and days that followed, the internet did what the internet always does. Woodley's bravado, threats, and promises were clipped up and stitched directly next to the knockout, turning a fight he'd taken to protect his pride into a permanent loop of setup and brutal punchline. At the press conference, Woodley tried to explain what happened in simple fighter language. A dropped hand, a perfectly timed shot. A sport where one mistake can erase everything you did right. He showed respect, stayed composed, but no explanation could compete with the freeze frame of him lying face down. The still image that people will always remember first when his name comes up in this chapter of his career. Jake, for his part, called Woodley a warrior and thanked him for taking the fight. But even that respect came wrapped inside the reality that one man left with a career-defining highlight, while the other left as the highlight. The man who had promised to expose the YouTuber instead became the proof point that Tyron Woodley walked into this saga convinced he was going to expose Jake Paul as a manufactured product. He thought he would peel away the followers, the camera angles, and the marketing, and leave a shaken pretender standing under bright lights with nowhere left to hide. But the truth this story revealed was harsher and more complicated. It exposed how unforgiving combat sports are when pride, age, short notice opportunity, and a punch you don't see combine at the wrong moment, and how even a real, decorated fighter can become the viral clip he once swore he would never be. Woodley promised that Jake Paul's rise would end with him. Instead, that right hand in round 6 turned Woodley into the stamp on Jake's legitimacy and made one thing undeniable. The man who came to expose the show ended up being its most unforgettable episode. If you enjoyed stepping into the knockout realm today, make sure you stay in our corner. Drop a like. Subscribe for more fight stories that change the sport. And let us know in the comments, which knockout should we break down next? Until then, keep your hands up, and we'll see you in the next round.